Hi there, I'm Mark, and welcome to Book Ramble. I'm rambling around today, mainly between doing chores in the garden. Well, it is spring. I'm answering a tag that Seanin of Seanin Shelves kindly threw my way, and it's about, if I could remember, because I'm not in front of the camera, I think he put it down as books towards the end of the year that he hopefully would, finish. So thank you for the tag, Seanin. I've wrote down notes of the questions and they'll be in the description, but I may not actually state the questions correctly here because I've just written crib notes. One question is, have you got any books that you started this year that you need to finish? So many books. And I have finished probably a handful by now. Mainly plays and certain books that are small. So the Bhagavad Gita and the Iliad is going to take some time to get through. I actually brought out a book, because I'm fairly well organised. This one. Massive. Leon Trotsky's The History of the Russian Revolution. I started this year and I would like to finish it, but what year I finish it in, I don't know. So, I'm interested in the history of the Revolution of Russia. Well, the three of them. There's one in 1905, there was two in 1917. But unless you're interested in that, or you're interested in politics, could be hard work. But I would like to finish it, and I'm still debating whether I'll do episodes on it, because again, it's fairly niche, not everybody's interested in it. So the answer to any books you started this year need to finish? Yeah, shed load. Is there any autumnal book or fall book that you wish to finish by the end of the year? I get why there are books to do with autumn and spooky. I've seen the tags. But of course, down here it's not autumn, it's spring. So when you get like people talking about winter books and summer books, we're always going to be the opposite here. The only way I can answer this is a play by Robert Bolt called A Man for All Seasons. Brilliant play. Definitely will do an episode on it. So Thomas More is made the Chancellor at the time of Henry VIII. And Henry VIII wants a divorce. And Wolsey has not done it. So More becomes the Chancellor. And it puts him in a difficult position because he does not want to allow a divorce. He's a committed Catholic. But he knows that eventually he's going to have to do something or the king's going to cop him a right one. He has to say something to Norfolk, who comes to meet him. The king sent Norfolk, are you going to do what I want? And More turns around and says a lot of stuff, confuses Norfolk, and then More turns around and says, I trust I've made myself obscure. Brilliant play and a brilliant movie, because I believe Bolt did the screenplay to that movie as well. Why have I brought that up? Because books are for all seasons, I think. I don't tend to see them as spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Mainly because I can never finish them that quick. So for myself, books are always perennial, regardless of the time and season. Is there a new release that you're waiting for? No, not really, because I tend not to go for modern books. I stated before the Lindy effect. So the Lindy effect is where if you are talking about something, say on TikTok, for 24 hours, chances are 24 hours later you've forgotten about it. But if you're talking about books that are hundreds of years old and you're still talking about them, chances are you'll be talking about them 100, 200 years from now, and so on. So I tend to go for the old classics, the older books. I don't have a problem with new books, but I tend not to keep an eye on them. Unless it's a version of an old classic or new release, no, I can't say there is anything new. But then, if I've never read a book before, and it's ancient, then it is a new book. And therefore, it may not be released in the next 3 or 4 months, but if I find it, it's the equivalent of. Never read it before, so to me that's a new book. I hope I've made sense there. Are there 3 books you most want to read by the end of the year? Yeah. Everything that I've got in my office, on my desk. You tend not to see it because I film with a neutral background, but they're all piled high. It's like, I don't know, an old curiosity shop with stuff. Piled high. Can't move for books, but not on shelves. And there's so many there I'd like to read by the end of the year, whatever. Well, I will rephrase that. I don't put the pressure on myself of there's got to be an arbitrary time cut-off in which to read. I think that way lies madness for myself. I tried that before. I was in publishing for many years, and then deadlines, and with university papers, you're rushing to a deadline, and it's just it's not happy. You do it, but given a choice, I want to set my own time. So I see it as Kairos time, not Chronos time. So Chronos time is the ticking of the clock. Kairos time is, it will happen in its own due course. When it's meant to be, the time I finish it will be when I finish it. So some of the books that I've started talking about on this channel, I may not finish for another year or so, but so be it. Is there one book that could become your favourite by the end of the year? Now, this is obtuse. I know my answer is going to annoy some people. All of them. I'm a firm believer, and I know I've said this before and caused confusion with people. I was asked that question, what's your favourite book? And I said, it's the book I'm reading at the moment. Oh, what's that? I said, no, whatever the book is I'm reading at the moment is my favourite book. And then when I put it down, I pick up another book, that's my favourite book. So I've got about 10 to 19 on the go. Each one I pick up and I'm reading is my favourite book at that time. And I know that sounds obtuse and a bit corny, but I think it's a mindset. If you do not enjoy the books you're reading, you're going to struggle. You're going to miss half the stuff that's contained within it, especially some of the philosophy books. It could be a bit of a grind. So I think you need to really enjoy them. They need to be your favourite book. Otherwise, what's the point? Why are you reading it? So they're all favourite, and it's that one particular I'm reading. Now, if it's one book I favour that I will go back to on a regular basis, yes, there's a shed load of them. In fact, I've just ordered 2 books that I would classify as perennial favourites, although they're not my favourite by the end of the year. They would be James A. Michener, Centennial, and Patrick O'Brien, Master and Commander. Those series of books by those authors were fantastic. Final question is, have you started plans for next year's reading? I never make plans, ever. Not when it comes to reading, not personal reading. So the only way I can explain this is the difference between organic and synthetic. So organic is going with the flow, the water. Synthetic is making the pipe. Now you can make a pipe and do your plans that rigid, but that's not the way my mind works. I can't say I got to have this amount of pages read by this amount of time. I've tried it and it fried my brain. And even with stuff I really love reading. I made the mistake once of collecting all the lore books of Warhammer Fantasy Tabletop Battles. And I said, I'm going to read each one in a day. Well, I started well, but by the time I got through half of them, I was starting to lose the plot. So I tend to go organically. It will just happen when it happens. I make no plans. If I read a page in one book today, great. If I read a paragraph 2 days from now, fine. And often I'm finding is that when I'm reading a book and I'm making notes for this channel, it may only be a paragraph that I can take in personally. So I'll put it to one side, do the annotation in the books as I do, go off, get another book, do the same. That's enough for me, for my brain to deal with. So I never make plans. There's not one book I'm going to say I'm going to be reading next year. And I really do admire, believe me, those that can do that. It's a skill I do not have. I don't think I've ever had it, funny enough. But I admire people who could work that way and plan that out. So I look at, say, 2025, and it's just a tabula rasa. It's just a blank sheet as far as I'm concerned. I have no idea where I'll be in March. I don't know what's going to happen, personal, professional, channel-wise. so I don't make any plans at all. I am conscious that all the questions that I've answered are probably not in line with what most people would say. So I do apologise, but hopefully I've answered the questions to some kind of, well, if it makes sense. So thank you, Seanin. It actually is a very, very good tag, but one very difficult for myself to answer. Probably the one tag I found the most difficult to do so far, which is why it's great. It's made me think. So thank you for that. If you've got this far and you have appreciated anything that I've said, please leave a comment. I'd love to know whether you are similar to me or not. And if you're not, I'd love to hear still, because that's the beauty of this community. People will effectively agree or disagree. Wonderful, please do so. But if you're not a subscriber and you've got this far, please subscribe. It makes all the difference to our small channels on BookTube. And please go and visit Seanin Shelf, who originally tagged me. And there'll be a link if there is one originator of the tag that's not Seanin. I can't remember offhand while I'm out and about. So thank you, and ta-ta for now.